I never believed in ghosts until that night. I was staying at my grandmother's old house, which had been in the family for generations. The house was old and creaky, with shadows that seemed to move on their own. My grandmother had passed away a few months earlier, and the house had been left to me and my sister, Emily. We had decided to spend the weekend there to sort through her belongings and decide what to keep and what to donate. The house was located on the outskirts of town, surrounded by dense woods. It was a two-story Victorian home with a wraparound porch and a large attic. The inside was filled with antiques and memories of my grandmother. She had been a collector of sorts, and the house was filled with her treasures. One particularly stormy night, I was sitting in the living room reading a book by the dim light of a flickering candle. The wind howled outside, and the rain pounded against the windows. The house creaked and groaned as if it were alive. I had always loved the old house, but the storm made it feel eerie and unsettling. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper coming from the corner of the room. I looked up, but there was nothing there. I dismissed it as my imagination and went back to my book. The whispering started again, only this time it was louder. I could make out words now. "Help me," the voice said. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I tried to stay calm. I got up and walked towards the corner, but there was still nothing there. I decided to go upstairs and check on my sister, who was sleeping in the room next to mine. As I reached the top of the stairs, I heard the whispering again, only this time it was coming from my sister's room. I slowly opened the door and stepped inside. The room was pitch black, but I could hear the whispering getting louder and louder. I turned on the light, but the bulb flickered and went out. I fumbled for my phone to use the flashlight, but it was dead. Suddenly, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. I turned around, but there was no one there. The whispering was now right next to my ear. "Help me," it said again. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I stumbled back and tripped over something on the floor. As I fell, I saw a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. I don't remember much after that. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the floor, covered in sweat. My sister was standing over me, looking concerned. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her what had happened. I knew she wouldn't believe me. From that night on, I could never shake the feeling that something was watching me. The whispering continued, and the shadows seemed to grow darker and more menacing. I tried to leave the house, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It was as if I was trapped, and there was no way out. The next day, Emily and I decided to take a break from sorting through the house and went for a walk in the woods. The air was crisp and cool, and the sun was just beginning to set. We walked for a while, enjoying the quiet and the beauty of the forest. As we walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being followed. I kept looking over my shoulder, but there was no one there. We eventually made our way back to the house, and I was relieved to be back inside. But the relief was short-lived. As soon as we stepped inside, the whispering started again. This time, it was louder and more insistent. "Help me," the voice said. I could hear the desperation in the voice, and it made my skin crawl. Emily noticed my unease and asked what was wrong. I hesitated for a moment, but I knew I couldn't keep it from her any longer. I told her about the whispering and the shadowy figure I had seen the night before. She listened intently, her eyes wide with fear. "Do you think it's a ghost?" she asked. "I don't know," I replied, "but I think we need to find out." We decided to stay up late that night and see if we could catch a glimpse of whatever was haunting the house. We sat in the living room, the lights on and the TV playing in the background. The house was quiet for a while, but then the whispering started again. This time, it was coming from the hallway. We got up and walked towards the sound, our hearts pounding in our chests. As we reached the hallway, the whispering grew louder. "Help me," the voice said. We could hear footsteps coming from the attic. We exchanged a nervous glance and slowly made our way up the narrow staircase. The attic was dark and dusty, filled with old furniture and boxes. As we stepped inside, the whispering grew louder and more insistent. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. We were plunged into darkness. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I fumbled for my phone. The flashlight came on, casting a dim light on the room. We saw the shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. It was tall and thin, with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce right through us. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it moved closer to us. I could feel the cold breath on my face as it whispered, "Help me." I felt a wave of fear wash over me, but I knew we had to do something. "What do you want?" I asked. The figure seemed to hesitate for a moment. Then it spoke. "I need your help," it said. "I'm trapped here, and I need to find a way out." I exchanged a nervous glance with Emily. "What can we do?" I asked. The figure moved closer, its eyes glowing brighter. "You need to find the key," it said. "It's hidden somewhere in this house. Find it, and I can be free." We exchanged a nervous glance. "Where is it?" I asked. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it moved closer to us. I could feel the cold breath on my face as it whispered, "Find a key." We spent the rest of the night searching the house for the key. We looked in every room, every box, and every drawer, but we couldn't find it. The whispering continued, growing louder and more insistent. "Find a key," the voice said. "Find a key." As the sun began to rise, we finally found the key. It was hidden in a small box in the basement. We took it upstairs and showed it to the figure. The figure seemed to relax, its eyes glowing brighter. "Thank you," it said. "Now I can be free."